Which of the following has replaced Planning Commission in India? National Development Council, Niti Aayog, Finance Commission, Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management. So यहाँ पे हमारा आंसर हो जाएगा नीति आयोग. The government replaced the existing body Planning Commission with the Niti Aayog, a new economic think tank with the aim of overhauling the very process and method of planning in the country. This move is believed to originate from India's experiences of development planning spanning over 6 decades. Cooperative federalism, bottom-up approach, holistic and inclusive development with the need for an Indian model of development are some of the hallmarks of the new design. The move is also seen in the light of the changing needs of the economy. Question 8. Consider the following statements. 1. Implementation of family planning programs was amongst major targets of the fourth 5-year plan. Second, during the fourth 5-year plan, 14 major Indian banks were nationalized and the Green Revolution was started. Third, fifth 5-year plan focused on Garibi Hatao, employment, justice, agricultural production and defense. Which of the statements given above are correct? तो हमारा आंसर हो जाएगा, हमारे तीनों यहाँ पे करेक्ट है. The fourth 5-year plan's duration was from 1969 to 1974 under the leadership of Indira Gandhi. Fifth 5-year plan's duration was 1974 to 1978. Next, spatial data dissemination standard is sometimes seen in use in the context of BRICS countries, IMF, World Bank, Asian Development Bank. तो यहाँ पे हमारा आंसर हो जाएगा IMF. Solution: aimed at guiding members to enhance data transparency and help financial market participants to assess the economic statistics of individual countries. The IMF launched the SDDS in 1996. It has over 20 data categories including national income, accounts, production, indices, employment and central government operations. Next, consider the following statements. Economic growth necessarily leads to economic development. Second, higher economic development requires higher economic growth. Which of the statements given above are correct? So यहाँ पे हमारा सिर्फ second statement is ही correct है. Higher economic development requires higher economic growth. Solution: here one basic thing must be kept in mind, that if the masses are to be guaranteed with a basic minimum level of quality enhancing inputs above given variables such as food, health, education, etc. in their life, a minimum level of income has to be guaranteed for them. Income is generated from productive activities. It means that before assuring development, we need to assure growth. Higher economic development requires higher economic growth, but it does not mean that a higher economic growth automatically brings in higher economic development. A confusion the early economist failed to clarify. We may cite an example here to understand the confusion. Two families having same levels of income but spending different amounts of money on developmental aspects. One might be giving little attention to health, education and going for saving, and the other might not be saving but taking possible care of the issues of health and education. Here the latter necessary will have higher development in comparison to the former. Next, which of the following statements appropriately describes the fiscal stimulus? It is a massive investment by the government in manufacturing sector to ensure the supply of goods to meet the demand surge caused by rapid economic growth. It is an intense affirmative action of the government to boost economic activity in the country. It is government's intensive action on financial institutions to ensure disbursement of loans to agriculture and allied sectors to promote greater food production and contain food inflation. It is an extreme affirmative action by the government to pursue its policy of financial inclusion. So solution: what is it? A stimulus is an attempt by policymakers to kickstart a sluggish economy through a package of measures. A monetary stimulus will see the central bank expanding money supply or reducing interest rates to encourage consumer spending. A fiscal stimulus is one in which the government spends more from its own pocket or slashes tax rates. Stimuli puts more money in the hands of consumers and spending goes up, thereby encouraging demand and growth. What is logic? What is the logic behind? Concept. Proponents of fiscal stimulus base their arguments on the Keynesian theory of macroeconomics. Keynes argued that even small direct interventions by the government to prop up demand can have a disproportionately high impact on economic growth due to the multiplier effect. The explanation: when demand in an economy stays weak for long, businesses stop investing in new projects, unemployment rises, income shrinks, and consumer confidence wanes. This further hinders spending due to lack of money and thereby dampens demand, creating a vicious cycle. If the government can step in with a fiscal stimulus, it revives business confidence, restarts projects, creates jobs, and sets off a various cycle of feel good demand and growth.